Welcome to the Berks Homes podcast, the business of building homes. I'm Katie. I'm here with my brother Ben, and today we are talking about small processes with big impact. This is not really self-explanatory. We're really going to have to dive in here to explain what we mean.
Our father would say, the devil is in the details.
I think he said that today, didn't he?
Probably.
Yeah, he did say that today.
He says that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And what does that mean?
It means that if you don't have the details nailed down, if you don't know down to the most granular level, that's where you're going to get caught. You're going to mess up if you don't have your details nailed
High
down.
level, our business, we talk a lot about the specific nuances that our business might have more than other industries.
Yeah.
And some of that's because we've never worked in any other industry, so we just don't know. But most of it is because it is a very complex, highly variable type of business. Compare ourselves to a manufacturing line and how that's like the ultimate goal.
Yes.
But we'll never get there because of the variables. We build outside.
Home build
in the
is
Northeast.
the different
Yeah.
one. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So all that being said, why is this topic something that we should go over?
I think, just from the premise that if you can get the little things right, you're going to get the big things right. So that's something we feel very strongly about. And also just to shed some light on the fact that there's a reason why we do most things. You know, I'm an advocate for questioning everything at some point, but also I believe there's a reason why we do most of the things that we have left. So It's just an interesting exercise for us to kind of walk through. Now, why do we have to fill out that piece of paper? Or why is that field important to have information? Because I don't know if everyone understands how the one thing that they do on their checklist impacts the next person and the next and the next. We have some pieces of information that start from the first appointment that we have with a prospect that will maintain the whole way through warranty. So understanding how details impact home building is, crucial to what we do.
Right. If there's 150 people or whatever the number is in the company and you aren't intimately familiar with what their day-to-day is, then you should probably just do all the stuff that you need to do, even if you don't understand it.
And if you don't understand, ask why, because there was probably a very interesting story around it. So to launch into one of the first important steps, important little pieces of paper is the buyer information sheet, affectionately known as the BIS by some people.
Yeah, doesn't sound very personal.
No.
Sounds like a procedure.
A lot of these things sound like procedures.
Like a medical procedure.
Right, exactly.
Get my BIS today.
And what it contains is just the information about the buyer, their contact info, who they are, the information if there's a co-op, like a real outside realtor that we're working with through that home buyer, are their lender and their title company. And you would think that this wouldn't be such a big deal, but each one of those pieces of information translates to a different action for that home buyer and for that home build. It starts by even just giving information about the buyer, like how they preferred to be contacted, what phone number, what email, how to pronounce their name, what name they prefer to be called. All of this information is right there front and center, the first page of a contract. It's basically a cover sheet for the contract. And that sets the tone for that person's experience, honestly.
Yeah, it makes it a little more personal.
Because we actually are paying attention. Because if they say it to the first person, we should all understand and
Follow
know
suit.
It going forward. Yeah. We should be talking to each other. We shouldn't make them repeat it for every handoff during the customer experience.
Right. Right.
So then this next block, if they've got a co-op, another realtor, that changes how we structure the information in the deal. We have to pay them.
We need to make sure they get paid.
Exactly. We have to make sure that they are contacted and involved in the entire process because they're representing this home buyer.
Yeah.
So it changes our communication stream. It changes the settlement table. It changes a lot of information, whether they have one or not, and who it is. What else do we have on there? The lender.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That's huge. That's for the customer coordinators.
But it's also
Title company.
Yes. So it's just making sure that they're going to get to that, be able to follow through with starting the home because working with that lender gets you to actually start the house to the point of settlement and making sure that they can buy it.
Yeah.
You know, so it's amazing how just one piece of paper at the beginning of a contract, I mean, how many pages is an agreement of sale at this point?
Like 40 some.
Yeah. And just that one is changing the trajectory, the whole path that this contract goes through from beginning to end.
Yeah. Especially like you said in those handoffs where there's multiple people in each home buyer's experience that are going to reach out to them, schedule something, talk to them, ask them questions.
Speaking of the customer coordinator, Val was kind enough to give me a lot of this info and kind of go over the ways in which they use that information. And they're the ones, again, their title, customer coordinator, are the ones coordinating every piece of information and step in the behind the scenes for that customer. So they're using that as their kind of Bible the whole way through, going, okay, now this is who needs to be looped in at this part. This is the information that the home buyer needs at this point. This is what they like to be called and this. So it's just a lot of great information from one little piece of paper.
And then that information flows through into our ERP.
Yes.
So I'll step on my soapbox for a little bit because as somebody who is in charge of projecting our business plan each year and the significant effect it can have on preferred title, preferred lender, and co-op, there's financial ramifications to each one of those. And if that information is not clear, if it's ambiguous, then it gives me heart palpitations to know which piece of information is correct. If it's different in the system than it is on that first piece of paper, then we're getting erroneous information.
Exactly.
So that should all line up. And that first piece flows through. Once the customer is signed, that job lives forever in the system. And it starts in our land system, and then it goes into sales, and then it goes into warranty, all the way down the line. You know, essentially, we should be able to report off of that for projections.
Yes.
And it should just be seamless. And so, like I said, I'll get on my soapbox and say that's just a minor detail that when it comes down to looking at, you know, a community and you have 10 jobs closing in the next couple months, and if that is not all syncing, then there's a lot of questions, and then you start questioning all your data, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So, but it is interesting. That's something small, big impact.
Yeah. And to close that loop, to your point, ideally, the buyer information sheet would be a report that comes out of our database. Right now, it's a lone piece of paper that's getting updated. And these are the fun things that we get to discover is how we can automate some things. What fields do we need to make a little more freeform or larger? Is there a notes field that we need to add with the buyer information in our database right now so that that information could just start there instead of having to start on a piece of paper? Small efficiencies that we can make that will make the information consistent and the experience consistent.
Yeah, and something like that sounds like it might not matter, but to your point, it can create a much faster workflow.
And without questions. If the person that's entering that information is the one that's talking to the human being, meaning the sales consultant's talking to that home buyer, and they're the ones that are hearing what they want to be called, they're the ones typing it in. That's locked in then for the rest of the team. And there's no question.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah. That's great.
Next step, automating the BIS.
Yeah. The biz.
Yeah. So now moving into some of our fan favorites of what seems to be small processes or just another piece of paper, the plot plan.
The plot plan.
We could do a whole entire episode on just the plot plan itself.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what I said in the beginning, our business is just a total basket of all these variables. Mm-hmm. It's just all these things that change from one home to the next. And the plot plan is a great example of that because,
the plot plan is the variables.
It is the variables, yeah. So in so many words, a plot plan is showing the exact home on the exact piece of land from a 2D standpoint with grades on it. So it's exactly where the house sits on the lot and how high it is, off the ground from the curb. There's all these measurements, right? The grade lines, how you basically grade it to get it to the final product, the length of the driveway, the size, the square footage, all these measurements. And as you can imagine, if the first floor or if the foundation height is off by a foot, if it shows 492.33 as opposed to 491.33, we got problems, right?
That doesn't sound like a big deal.
Yeah, it's just a foot, right? Yeah, when you're trying to get a walkout situation where you have a door in the back, a foot means everything. Mm-hmm. When you're trying to do a daylight, when you're trying to get water out of, off the lot.
So the plot plan shows all the variables with the land and the home that they selected. Mm-hmm. And what are we trying to achieve with the plot plan, like you're saying? So why would we be trying for a walkout or a daylight, or like what does setting, I guess the real question is, setting the home is so important. Mm-hmm. It's one of the make or break portions.
Aesthetics and function.
Right. So how does the plot plan play into that?
So we would go back a step. The plot plan is fed by a series of processes that start way early when we acquire a community. Mm-hmm. And let's just say it's 50 lots and you have all these different shapes and sizes. And, we decide on our plan lineup and we decide, let's just say there's 6 plans that we want to offer for that price in that location. And we want to pick plans that fit on each lot. Right, so we do a lot fit test. Then we want to make sure that the dirt balances, so we don't have too much fill or not enough, right? So we do a hold down plan with the developer, and we say this is how we want the lots to be finished when we're ready to build. So they do all that work. The site contractor does. Then when we start buying lots, we create this thing called a matrix, community matrix, and it shows every lot that is in the community and the combinations of each home.
Meaning the options that someone could select per floor plan that could fit on that lot.
So sometimes if we have 6 plans, sometimes only 5 will fit on one lot.
Right.
Sometimes 3. And then there's all these different variables again, like there's stormwater elements that change where we want to sit the house and everything. So there's a little bit of art to it, but mostly it's science because there's actual...
Does it fit or not?
There's actual binary decisions, yes or no. But then there are gray areas where they still fit, but I wouldn't recommend it. We talked about that at that one community we went out to where it's like, that fits. There's a ranch home, for instance, so a 1-story home. They're always deeper. Than a 2-story generally. It could fit, but if there's a hill in the back,
which there is in this example you're giving,
now you got to start thinking, well, they're going to have a 15-foot flat space in their backyard before there's a hill. It's probably not ideal.
And typically there's at least a little swale in the back.
The water's got to go somewhere. So all that being said, this matrix is created to allow for all those variables and give the sales team a very clear picture of when somebody calls you about lot 5, these are the options available. And then once you have the matrix created, you can do an LRE.
Mm-hmm.
I call it lot related expenses, but apparently there's another name for it. Lot release.
What?
Something.
I've only heard lot related expenses ever.
There's another lot release something.
Somebody
I don't know.
let us know.
Yeah.
What is that?
Yeah.
All
Look
right.
in your notes.
Okay. Oh, whoops. Somebody did let me know.
Yeah. So with that being said, you create basically a big matrix of expenses associated with each individual lot.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just say there's 2,000 linear feet of sidewalk in the whole community. You divide that by 50, and you get the average for each lot. When we go to create that specific plan for the plot plan, this one might be an abnormally wide lot, might be 70 feet. So they go and change it on the plot plan to make it accurate. It's 70 feet. That's the measurement. And you have all these variables. We create the LRE to have averages, just so we have a budget.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you think about the buildup, it's the community matrix, what can fit in this community, and then the LRE is how much does it cost on average. So that we know where to be setting pricing, what, we're going to be covered throughout the life of the community. But then when the home actually sells, or we want to start building a spec or something, for example, we need to really dial it in. And that's where this detail comes in.
Right.
And that's why the plot plan is so important, is we've got very important pieces of information in the community matrix and the LRE, but it's not as specific and detailed as this final piece is. So there's not one that's more important than the other, but they have to go in that order.
They have to go in that order.
You have to have the community matrix first to even know if a home fits on it. Then you can calculate how much it's going to cost to put a home on that spot. Then you actually figure out what happens.
You figure it out. Yeah, because the buildup is, the plot plan is kind of the final answer for all of that. So it's 70 feet of sidewalk. So guess where that goes? That goes on the purchase order.
Yes. That's the person that's doing the work. We estimated it everywhere. We know over the life of the community,
it's going to work.
The sidewalk supplier and installer is getting this much. But for this house, if we didn't change that size, we would not be paying them enough to cover what they need for that house.
Yeah.
In some situations, we do that over the life of the community if it makes sense. But when there are things that are always that variable, we won't.
Right.
We'll make sure that somebody gets paid what they should for the work that they do in real time.
So you have sewer and water laterals that they get adjusted depending on how far back the house sits. Driveway size, same thing.
Yep.
Depending on how far back it sits. Some lots are bigger than others, so raking and seeding, stripping of topsoil, all these things, they get adjusted at the LRE.
Right.
Or at the plot plan.
At the plot plan off of the LRE.
Right.
Because the LRE is the estimate that's already in there.
Yep.
Then we go in with those measurements.
With those
and
actuals.
Yeah.
And they do that right at the purchase order release, right before the home starts. And so the plot plan also generates, how the superintendent is going to set the home.
That's the one that I really wanted to talk about. And again, why is that so important where it's set?
Yeah. Well, typically we're building in a community, right? So, and sometimes we get to choose, using the example of single family, sometimes we get to choose a la spec home, the lot that we want to build on that's next. Sometimes we don't, sometimes you'll have two houses, a house on either side of this vacant lot, and you're going to build one in between. And so there's a little bit of an art to that, because now those are fixed.
Right.
Right.
So you might have, they might be right at the same height as each other. And if you go too low or too high in between.
You just have to check. You have to make sure that the plot plan that you got from the engineer is showing that it's going to be at the same height as those other two. Or it's appropriate. Usually slopes are going one way or the other. right? So you want them to be in line as it goes down or up or flat. You don't want a dish bowl.
Yes.
Yeah. That's all part of it, and that's why it's always important. The human element never leaves what we do.
Exactly.
So it is a tremendous amount of trust but verify. So we always like to get eyes on each lot prior to starting. And this is where you rely on your excellent trade partners to help you out sometimes, where it's not uncommon that our engineer had slightly different information when they did the plot plan from, the original as-built. And because of whatever reason, we might have manipulated some things in the field as we were building. And now in this example that I'm using, it's a foot off. And so when they go and stake it out with very, very detailed down to the inch stakes in the ground of where the elevations are going to be, sometimes, especially if you have a really good excavator, which we have a lot of those, they're not going to allow you to make that mistake.
Right.
The superintendent says, well, this is what it says here. And he's saying, but we're going to have a problem in the back because we're a foot off.
Right.
Then they make the call and they say, should we go off the plot plan or go off what we think is right? And then you got to trust.
Yeah.
But that's an atypical example. Usually it goes by the letter of the law, whatever everybody, already verified. It is what it is. But the reason why all those little pieces are so critical is just that phone call.
Yes.
Can stir up so much buzz and so many man hours of lost productivity. And that's why planning ahead of time, plan, and then execute in our business.
And using these tools.
Yep, using the tools.
Yeah.
And there's also a lot of just an unbelievable amount of trust that goes into what we do, trusting your coworkers, making sure that you go off of their information. There's nothing wrong with checking, but you have to trust that the baton that you were handed is good.
Right. And that's why I think it's important for us to be even talking about this, because sometimes we forget that what we do matters.
It all matters. It does.
You're never just filling out a piece of paper just to do it. Someone needs that information, and they're going to make business decisions off of it, even though you might not know that.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, even the orientation of the home, north, south, east, west, is used to order the HVAC systems. I mean,
the heat loss report.
Yeah. Like, do we even know? Like, does anybody even think about that? Like, that's on the plot plan. That's where that comes from.
When it is funny when you apply for a permit and you send out the heat loss report to the HVAC guy. They're going to ask you which direction is it facing.
You have to send the plot plan.
Yeah. They're gonna ask you for your window specs. How do they factor into the heat loss? Yeah. They're gonna ask you a bunch of questions, but that needs to be known before you start the home.
Yes.
All these little details really matter, because if you say north and it's facing south, you might get 3-ton system instead of a 4-ton system. And now guess what? That home is going to be uncomfortable.
And there will be people out there trying to work on it every season of that whole first year.
Yeah. Yeah. The planning is the most important. And we go over all this stuff in painstaking detail very early. As soon as we sign an agreement of sale to buy lots in a community, we have a multitude of meetings, kickoff meetings, handoff meetings, you name it, to ensure that the information that we start with is very close to the information that we end with.
Yes.
And why it all matters is we want to build an incredible experience for our sales team to offer an incredible experience to our buyers. And so they have all these wonderful answers to every question that they can imagine already done.
Exactly.
That's the goal. So it seamlessly goes through the process.
And to your point, it all builds on each other. We kind of referenced that with the matrix and the LRE and the plot plan. But then once you hit the community matrix and the LRE and the buyer information sheet and the actual agreement of sale, you're getting to details like the address of the home that's going to be built.
Yeah.
It should not have to be talked about, but we have to talk about how important the address is of the home that's being built.
Yeah.
Because, again, it is an outdoor manufacturing plant. Every single person that's going to be working on that home has to know where it is, how to find it, so they can do their job.
Right.
Everyone who works with us out in the field is moving their location every day.
Yeah.
They're going to different
offices.
Jobs.
Yeah.
Imagine trying to find your job every single week.
Yeah.
Think about, you don't even know how long it's going to take half the time. You are relying on the information that you have, having an address to this place of work that you have to show up to. And imagine if it's the wrong address and you're driving an hour out of the way because the town wasn't listed, just the road name or something like that.
Right.
And these are things that happen to our employees, our trade partners, and even the home buyer sometimes.
Yeah.
Just because the address isn't filled out the entire way, or and this is the worst, sometimes don't have it yet. Sometimes an address is not issued.
Yeah. There's certain municipalities who don't issue them until the job starts.
Exactly. So
forget those towns.
I know, it makes it so difficult.
That goes back to another point. It's like every municipality, in Pennsylvania, we have counties and then we have townships or boroughs, which many in each county, right? And they all operate differently.
Yes.
So this guy over here requires 17 pieces of information for their permit. This guy requires 12, and you're just being a detective up until the jobs start. And what kind of permits, what kind of inspections, they're all different.
And then sometimes they change it.
And then sometimes
after
they change it after 5
built.
houses. Yeah. Now we got to do a grading plan at the end.
Right.
But they're all different. But all that stuff, it's only one piece of it to know to gather the information. The next big piece is the communication.
Yes.
Right?
That's the whole point of all of this.
To communicate the variables,
yes.
right? Because the assumption is, without a shadow of a doubt, it will change. It will change over time. That everything changes. That's constant. But how do we adapt? How do you communicate? How do you make sure that the people that need to know have that timely information when you have it? And that's why all these little fields, documents, all that stuff, it all matters. Every little box needs checked. And we have a lot of scars to show that it's all important. Even the little stuff.
And we've probably, we could talk about hundreds of little things. I mean, we were talking about the job number the other week. There's the fact that we've got a 12-character job number that's associated with every single home. It's comprised of the region and the community and
the
lot
office
number
it comes out of.
Yes.
The community has its own digit and then the lot, right?
Yep, exactly. And so that's how people get paid, is the association of that job number and the work that they do. So sometimes when that isn't documented or put where it needs to be, some people can't even send an invoice in and get paid if they don't have it.
We don't pay off of invoices. We do purchase orders.
Oh, yeah, exclusively.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know what you mean. And that's why we're maniacal, too, about the job site signs.
Yes.
And the lot number signs. Like, if you can't identify a lot in a community, John D'Angelo will go berserk.
Exactly.
Because it affects everybody's workflow.
We've had lumber dropped at the wrong site.
Sure. That's why it's so important.
And then what?
Right.
Who's paying for that?
Yeah.
Well, if we didn't have it clearly identified, and the address sent them to that lot and not the one that
Right.
they, whose fault is
Right.
that? Who has to pay to move that again?
Yeah,
You know?
it might seem silly, but everybody has been through a new community before there's houses and the roads are in, the curbs are in, and it just looks like a bunch of nothing.
Exactly.
You know, you don't know lot 1, 2, 3, 4. You don't know until you put those signs in. You're like, I'm somewhere between lot 4 and 8 here. You
Right.
know, so those details, and we're saying this because it might when we harp on certain things when we see it, not we but anybody that is constantly reminding why things are important. These are the reasons why.
Exactly. Well, do you have, I like this one question we were talking about. Is there a most underrated process that you would like to, an award you would like to nominate to the most underrated process that we have?
I would say Amy, our director of office operations, she has a go live for sales process at the very end before we release the community for sales.
At the very end of community startup.
Yeah.
Before we go live.
Before we start building homes, before we offer it to the public.
Yes.
There's an exhaustive, I'll call it checklist. It's all in the system, but there's an exhaustive test that we put the community through to ensure that, again, we offer our salesperson all the information they need to open the doors to new buyers. So when they're asked, what's the homeowners association include? You know, how much is it per month? You know, all of these things, like who does the trash? You know, like all this stuff. There's so much, because those are things that if you're not familiar with buying a new home, that you're familiar with anywhere you've lived. But when it's new, sometimes it's hard to get those answers. You know, post office. It's like when you put a new community in.
Cluster boxes.
Yeah. The United States Postal Service acts as if you are establishing a new country anymore.
On the moon.
They're just like, what are you doing to us? You're adding mailboxes to our workload?
Yep, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
People cannot live here. So, sorry.
Yeah. So you're waiting for them. Like they move at the speed of molasses.
It's not a speed.
It's not a speed.
They move at anti-speed.
Yes. And public utilities. That's for another day. But all of these things.
These support things.
Yeah, these fake industries. All these things are so important to a customer's experience.
Yes.
You know, they want to know that when they move in, that they can get their mail, they can get their trash picked up, and that they can connect to the electric grid.
And the internet.
Yeah,
even.
and the internet, yeah. That's almost like more important than what are these days.
Yeah, exactly. Mail, who cares?
Yeah.
Get me the internet.
Yes, yeah. So
when do you have that meeting? Before? How?
That's like a week before
and
we go live.
During that meeting, you uncover a lot of things that still need to be answered sometimes, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
So this is interesting that you're bringing this up, because it has such a big impact on our VIP process, setting appointments, and the information that we have to give people before we go live.
Exactly.
So we are at the nth hour. Even we could have been working on this project for 2 years. But again, all these little steps, these little details, we're relying on outside entities that might not have the same hup-de-hup speed that we do.
Oh, yeah.
So
you're trying to herd cats.
100%. So we have everything we need to release this home for sale, except for all the things that matter to people when they move in.
Right.
So
just the basics.
So sometimes we have to wait until the day they actually have their appointment to even give the sales consultant the information they need, because we're waiting to find out, are we going to be able to give the people the experience they want from the beginning? Will we be able to answer these questions, or do we have to kind of say, just trust us, we'll let you know before you move in?
Well, homeowners associations are a big piece of this,
Yeah.
which we try to control as much as possible. But most of the time, we're buying it from an outside developer.
Yeah.
And it is their baby.
Even though we get blamed for
And
everything
their
for the rest of our
speed.
lives.
Right. I'm just clarifying for the masses
Yes.
here. So we do not create homeowners associations.
We would love to.
Yeah. If a developer allows us to do it, we will do it 100% of the time. But they always say, I got a guy, and then they say it'll be done next week or
2 years from now.
2 years, one of those two. So sometimes, to your point, it's like you have no control over that information. But when you're sitting across the table from a buyer and you're like, these are the things that we think are going to be included in the homeowners association versus this is what's going to be in it. And your monthly fee might be $100 or $300. You can imagine that there might be a slight bit of reluctancy to sign a contract about that.
Yeah.
It would be for me. So we understand, but we try and try and try to have everything done for sales. I'll give you one example before we're done. So again, in order of operations, everything builds on itself. In order to have that go live for sales meeting, we would have to have what we call a lot handoff meeting. And in that lot handoff meeting, our land team and our production team work with office operations staff here to ensure that these lots are exactly what we asked for from the developer. All the work is complete, so we are ready to purchase them.
Shovel ready.
Yes. And here's the weird stuff, right?
Yes.
So, again, variables. Through the course of operations in the beginning, we decided that the topsoil pile was going to be on lots 2, 3, and 4. Because of the way the sequence worked, it's going to be on 5, 6, and 7. That's what we're left with. That is pretty freaking important because those lots then on the matrix, the community matrix, they get taken off the market. And so if you don't make sure that is accurate, then our salesperson and our website, for that matter, they show lots 5, 6, and 7 available for sale, and our salesperson will sell them because that's what they do.
And not because they aren't listening, not because they don't. It's because the other thing,
trust the information that you're given.
And you have to, especially in the beginning, we don't have the setup and the resources to have office locations anywhere near our community sometimes.
Sure.
So sometimes we have a sales consultant that lives or works an hour or so from their
Until
community
the
model homes build.
Yeah.
We are relying on things that change to be updated digitally because we don't have the capacity to have someone standing on site every single day.
Right.
Would be amazing, and we want to obviously have people getting to their locations as much as possible. But in the beginning, it's just not going to happen every day. There's no question.
Right. So we've missed that meeting before and had that happen.
Yeah.
And so then you have to coax the buyer into a different lot.
Yeah.
Or
move
the topsoil pile, which it's not cheap.
Not?
Yeah, it's not cheap. So anyway, that was an example. But yeah, all these details matter. It's very interesting, and it's exciting when you can dive in and be accurate and know that if I do good work, meaning every person in the process, if you think about the person before you and after you, you will do excellent work. And I would say we have a great group of people who do that. And that's why our business runs as smoothly as it does.
Yeah, exactly. Moral of the story, if you don't know why you fill something out, ask so you can understand the impact that you're having, so you get excited about filling it out every time. And like you said, understand how your work is impacting the person before and after you.
So the funny thing is, you and I don't know exactly what every single person does each day, but as I've been thinking about this, I know all of the reasons why all this stuff is really important because we hear about a problem.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to sometimes the problem lands in our lap. And so it's interesting. Maybe I know more about what people do than I thought. But I wouldn't be able to always describe it until I hear a problem. Then I'm like, oh, I know how that happened.
Right. Well, I was reminded of this the other day. We've also been working here for a long time.
Done a lot of the jobs.
And have been the people that may or may not have messed some of this stuff up.
Oh, 100. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I should have said that. Like, it's also from personal experience because
I'm the first person.
I might not be the most detailed person.
I was going to say, I'm the first person to be like,
yeah,
that thing doesn't matter until I don't do it.
So if I screw something up, please somebody come and tell me.
Oh my gosh, yes. And if you think that there is a process that we should know about, that it's very important, or you love something, I would love to hear about it. You know, why do you
I'm sure compliance could come in here and just tell us all their processes.
The best documentaries
you can do that
of
podcast.
all time. Okay. Do you have a shout out?
Was it my turn? Oh.
Really putting you on the spot. You have 2 minutes left.
I forgot.
You can start playing music.
You know, I'm going to go with Mr. John Wisner.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've ever shouted him out.
He should get one annually, so it's fine if we have.
So I'm just going to say there's nothing in particular other than, so John is our director of drafting and estimating, and John's done an amazing job over the years. He's been here since, I think, 1988, maybe, 1989.
Yeah.
It's 35 plus years.
I feel like it's more than that.
Yeah. So, you know, when I met John, I was little. What he's done with his team in terms of the protection of what we have been talking about here, accuracy and details, protector of our culture, always innovating. You know, that's John. So I think right now he's been asked to work on many, many new plans. We're constantly innovating our plan lineup and also keep up with the production side. And he's been really instrumental in helping us speed up the time to market.
Yes,
with new product, not just with what they've done with his drafting team, but also automating estimating through, you know, their software that they use. So that's my shout out. John Wisner, also just like kind of like an uncle to us.
Known him as long as we can remember.
Yes. Yeah. So
good job, John.
Yeah, good job, John.
Good shout out. I think next time we have a guest.
Yes.
Our first guest.
Yes.
So stay tuned.
Yeah. Not
Until
dropping
then.
any names.
No.
All right. Later.